afternoon, everybody. This is Mama from 1 Acre at a Time. Today, we're going to be canning some bread and butter pickles and dill pickles. And we're going to start off with the ingredients that we need. We have 7½ cups of water, 3 1/3 cups of pickling canning vinegar, 5% acidity. We have 2 packages. We have 1 kosher dill pickle and 1 bread and butter pickle. We have sliced spears for the dill, and then we have the sliced 16th cut for the bread and butter. We got the jar size that we're going to be using. Each one of these packages will do roughly 8 to 12 of this size here. We got our tongs, our funnel, our bubble scraper, and headspace tongue. Another gripper, and then the tongs to reach inside the canner. This is a water bath canner. We can water bath today. We're going to start with hot jars, not boiling, but hot jars. And then we have 1 pan. Do not use an aluminum pan. Use a good pot. So we're going to start off with, and Stephanie's here. She's going to help me do this today. So, hi, Stephanie. Okay, so we're going to start off with 7½ cups of water. That's going to go into the pot. Okay, and then we're going to do 3 1/3 cups of white vinegar. That cup has 2 in it, so we'll have to do another 1 1/3 cup.
One 1/3.
Mm-hmm. This particular recipes are easy for doing pickles. There's not a whole lot of adding things or subtracting things. The packages give the directions step by step on how to do it. That's the last of the vinegar. We're going to add 1 package of the dill. That's what we're going to start with. These packages have all the ingredients that's needed in it, so you don't have to add anything or take anything away from it. And so we're going to take the spatula and we're going to start stirring this until it's nice and incorporated together.
That smells good.
Let me hold it out a little bit. These particular jars will process for 10 minutes, and they're actually ready to eat after 24 hours. I like to let mine sit for at least a week before I open them. And you can use either kind of pickle, the spears or the slice. I'm going to do a combination of both. That way I have spears for when we're having sandwiches and stuff. And then I got the slice for when we're doing hamburgers. Earlier, I made a batch of bread and butter, so we're going to finish up with the dill today. And so we're just waiting for the sauce to warm up so it's nice and warm. Okay, so that's why I'm stirring at. If you want to start loading some of your jars up with the sliced pickles first, and then we'll move on to the dill.
Okay, the reason why there's water keeps coming out of there is because it's the lid.
Yeah. Close that up. And when you're doing pickles, you really want to pack them in the jar, because during the process time they will start to float. So you want excuse me. So you want to make sure that they're really packed in there. Go ahead and get that out of your way. Okay, now the most important part when you're mixing this ingredient is you're just basically looking to warm it up. You don't want to cook it too hard or too fast, because it will burn. So you're just looking for it to get warm.
Half-inch head space on these ones also?
Yes. And then once this sauce is nice and hot, we'll transfer it to the big measuring cup. It's a little easier to pour into the jars at that time. And I'm going to have Stephanie do about 3 or 4 jars of packing them in before I start pouring the sauce in. Again, you can actually open these jars up and start eating them about 24 hours after you've processed them. But I do like to wait for at least a week. And then at the end, I will reserve some of the sauce for like 2 jars. And then I'll put some red pepper flakes in there to make it kind of a little on the spicy side for us that like it spicy. You can also add a couple of sprigs of fresh dill if you want, to give it a little more of a potent taste. And so after she gets a couple more jars filled up, we'll start filling the fluids up. Now, if you're not familiar with the dill sauce, it can get kind of potent. That's why you hear Nicole in the background kind of coughing a little bit, because the dill smell is quite strong.
It smells good.
Again, you just want to make sure that you don't burn this sauce. You're just looking basically to get it warm and incorporate with each other. Now the bread and butter process for the pickles is almost the same, except for it does require sugar, and quite a bit of sugar. This particular brand in this package, I believe it's 6 cups of sugar. But these packets have all the seasoning that you need in them, so you don't have to add anything or take anything away. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the hot sauce, watch your arms so I don't burn you, and the big measuring cup, because it makes it a little easier for pouring. Turn that heat off. And then we're just going to fill it up to where we get that 1/2 inch head space.
Might be a little much.
Pickles, I think, are one of the easiest things to make. If you're brand new to canning or just learning how to can, I recommend with pickles. It's one of the easiest things to do. We usually do about, anywhere between 8 and 10 jars for the year, just so we make sure that we have enough. Pickling cucumbers for pickles and stuff are so short growing season, and they can get particularly hard to find. And so we're just going to double check our head measurements, at least 1/2 inch. Okay, that one in the middle needs just a little more. Okay, and then some lids. And I like to put my lids in the hot water for just a couple minutes to heat that seal up.
That one's too big.
Okay, let me get in there. And when you go to put the rings on, oops.
So we didn't wipe it first.
And we always want to make sure that we wipe that rim down with the clean rag or with the rag that's got a little bit of vinegar on it. And you're just going to clean that edge. And then you're going to put the rings on. You're going to do the rings finger tight. And I've already inspected all these rings and made sure they were all good. You always want to inspect your rings.
Put a little bit of some small spears in there.
No, we'll just add a little bit of, set it to the side, and we'll add a little bit of
The juice to it.
juice to it and stick it in the refrigerator, and we'll eat it up this week or so.
I'm gonna grab the lids out.
Yep.
Where do you want them? There they are.
And if you have any leftover brine when you're doing this, you can actually put it in the refrigerator up to a week. That way, if you happen to come across some more pickles, you can use that brine right up. It stays fresh in your refrigerator for a week. And again, we're just doing this finger tight. You do them too tight, they'll buckle in the
I'm taking the lids.
canning process.
The
Okay.
rest of the lids.
And so we're going to go ahead and put these back in the water into the canner. Now when they're canning and we get ready to pull them out, they will be floating a little bit. For some reason, there's always a little bit of pocket air in the bottom of the jars. It doesn't matter how much we pack them, there's always that little bit of void area in the bottom. That's perfectly normal.
So new people are going to ask you, those lids that we just pulled out, we just heated them. Are you able to put those back in and reheat them because you're going to go do something else today?
Yes. Yes. Now, if it's only for a little bit, yes, you can do that. You can't put them back in the water and think they're going to sit in there for 24, 48 hours because that seal that's on there breaks down and it won't be usable. Okay, so I took some of that brine and I put it on the extra slice that we had. And I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let it sit for a week, and then we'll open it up and we'll wind up using that. Okay, and so there's 6 jars in there. We can actually, let's work on one more. We'll start with the spears. Spears can be a little more difficult, especially when you have to pack them in there. I like to turn the jar on its side and just start loading them this way. I know it gets a little difficult, especially when the jar is hot. And you really don't get as many jars when you're doing spears. So if you're looking more at spears of canning, I would definitely probably double the amount of the cucumbers that you get. Like I said, we do both kind. I do slice and spears. That way we have some for sandwiches, and then we have some for when we're doing hamburgers and things like that. But you're going to want to make sure that you pack that in there really, really well. That way there's no void in there. And you're going to want to pack them tight. And then we're going to go ahead and fill that up. That's a 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, go ahead and check that headspace. And then stick it down there and get any bubbles out. And then clean your rim and then put a lid on it with a ring.
Just you need to check.
Do I need to add more?
Yes, I would add just a little more. You can also do this recipe in quart size. If you're going to do quart size, your processing time will go from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Pint size or 10 minutes. And I always do the pint size.
I'll be waiting for my shipment.
Who's that from?
And
Aunt Sarah. I already knew who that was from. Do we have another ring?
On the counter right behind you. Here you go.
Butterfingers.
We got one, Lace.
Okay, go ahead and put that in. Okay, and we're going to double check that water level. Make sure it's at least 1 inch above the rim, above the tops of the jars. Yep, we're good. Go ahead and put the lid on it. We're going to bump up the heat a little bit. Go ahead and put it, yeah. Yep. So your process time does not start until this water is boiling. Once it's boiling, then you start your timer. You do it before that, you're not going to process them correctly. So I always like to listen for the water to boil, and then that's when I start my processing. Okay, so we'll be back shortly, and we'll see you soon. Okay, this is Mama from 1 Acre at a Time. Welcome back. We have now processed these jars for 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them from here very carefully. I'm going to place them here so that I can move them carefully so they can sit for the next 12 to 24 hours. Go ahead, Stephanie, and remove those. Be very careful. That water's hot. Now here's some of that void. Go ahead and lift that up for me one more time. That I was talking about when we pack them. There'll always be a little bit of a void there. That's okay. And after they sit and they do their ping, then you can remove the ring, not the lid, but the ring, and then place them in storage.
That one has a lot.
That's okay.
I think it was because of bread and butter. Where am I going to put them out in here, Mom?
Let's see here.
They're hot, hot.
Go ahead and tuck it down in there.
I got one more.
Okay. Nicole, if you could grab this here, very carefully move it to the other ones in here.
Yeah, still recording?
Okay, so I'm adding some more jars to the water bath because we got some more. We're going to do more spears this next time around. And so I'm placing them in here just so the jars can start getting hot again. Again, these are not boiling, they're just hot. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and we're just going to let them sit in there just for a second or two, just so they get hot. And then we'll start packing them. Again, the jars will be hot. I do load mine kind of on the side. So Stephanie will have to be really careful when she goes to load them. And it only takes a couple seconds for the jars to get hot.
Do I need to add more?
No, I think you're good.
I'll say it's right at the top of them.
Okay, go ahead and let's remove one of the jars.
Which was the first one that you put in?
This side here. Okay, and then load it from the side. You use a towel.
What's your...
Go ahead and use that. And remember, we're going to pack them nice and tight in there. Very little room is needed.
Jesus, that's hot.
Okay, so now she seems to have this one nice and tight. And let's fit one more right in there, a smaller one. Okay, and so we're going to fill this up with the juice. Again, you're looking for a 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, go ahead and double check. Do your bubbles. And then check that headspace. Make sure we're within the 1/2 inch headspace. Nicole, we're going to need another box of lids. Okay, is that within the 1/2 inch?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and put the lid on it.
That's why I added another slice in there because there was more room after we added the juice.
And then go ahead and put a ring on.
That's what I was just looking for.
Okay, so we're continuing to do the spear dill pickles. Again, we're using the Mrs. Waggart dill pickles seasoning. This is the easiest route to go. That way you don't have a whole lot of measuring and mixing. Very self-explanatory. Instructions on the back. Very easy. We do this one for the dill. And then we have this one for the bread and butter. When I usually find them at the big box stores, I buy several packages. Just because you never know how many pickling cucumbers you actually find. Is it pretty packed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Once we add the juice, it'll probably open up a little bit more space like we did on the other one.
Okay. I do apologize in advance if the video is not as good as it normally is. I got a new cameraman today. Papa's the cameraman. Nicole is busy in the background here trying to do things. So I do apologize again in advance.
I'm trying.
Alright, go ahead and wipe this rim. Grab the lid and then the ring.
I have a quick question. Can we take some of these other ones up and use them for a salad in the same season?
Oh no. Never tried it. I'm not sure. How many does that make? 2?
2.
Okay.
And there's the third one right there.
To give it a little more of a taste.
Are we adding red chili flakes to this?
No, we'll do it with the last 2 jars. Okay, welcome back. So we're doing the last jar and a half. This one that going in the refrigerator of the dill pickle spears. We have gotten the pickles in there nice and tight. So we're going to take the little spatula. We're going to go down in the sides. Get all the bubbles out. Every once in a while, a spot will open up to where we can put another one by moving those. And then we got the juice. So we have some people here that like kind of spicy pickles. So we're going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon. Not a third of that. Yeah. Of red hot peppers. Okay. And then we're going to put a lid.
That's a lot.
So that one's going to have a little bit of a kick to it.
I'm not eating it.
Don't be a sissy.
Wipe off the edge.
You just spelled.
Okay, gotta put the lid on. Finger tight. I'm gonna give it a good shake. Get those red peppers down in there. Add it to the water. And I have just a little bit of cucumber left with a little bit of sauce. So we're just going to pack what's left, add some more of the sauce, and then we'll put this in the refrigerator and use it up.
Oh yeah, and spicy to this one.
Yeah, we'll add a little bit. So go ahead and fill this up. We don't have to worry about the headspace or anything. And since this one's going in the refrigerator, I'm going to use the reusable lid. Let's go ahead and add just a little bit, Okay, that's going to go in the refrigerator. So we're going to let it sit for the next 12 to 24 hours. And then we'll put it in the refrigerator. Okay, get all this stuff out of the way. So we're going to, oh, you know what? Yeah, so set that over there with the other one. And we just about used all our brine up, so we won't be saving any of that. So we're going to put the lid on this. We're going to crank up the heat again. And once it starts boiling, and not until it starts boiling, we will process this for another 10 minutes. And then after that, we will remove it from the heat and then place it in an area where it will be undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours. Then we'll remove the rings and then put them in storage. Thank you all for having a good afternoon with us canning pickles. I'd like to wish all you mamas out there a happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Be safe and spend time with your loved ones. Have a good evening. Keep on homesteading.